it's me, Kia. Welcome to my channel, Tip for Tap Tarot. So today's reading is going to be a pick a card, and it is going to be about how to tap into your inner divine feminine, and also like what the divine feminine, what her message is to you. So I have 3 here. I'm gonna have a picture flash up on the screen that just shows the divine feminines a little bit better, so you can pause it if you need to. So the first one is Teresa of Avila, then you have Mary Magdalene, and we have Joan of Arc. So those are your 3 divine feminines. Pick which one calls out to you, and the timestamps will be in the description box. Okay, hi Pile 1. So you've chosen Teresa of Avila as your divine feminine. If you paused and kind of at the intro and you read it, if not, I'll read it to you now, but this is what it says. Our Lady of the Interior Life, and her quote is, "I trust the answers I find within me. I know that the presence of love is real." So I'm going to shuffle, and I'm going to lay out 5 other cards, and each card in this spread is going to answer a specific question. And I'll tell you a little bit about this divine feminine in just a minute after I get the cards laid out. Alright, so Holy Spirit, please give us 5 cards. Tell us what this divine feminine wants to say to my pile 1. Okay, we'll just do that. Okay, so I have little notes over here. So the first question is actually based on the card that you picked, and it's, what can this divine feminine teach you? So Teresa of Avila was from Spain. I actually did a little bit of research about her myself because I didn't know anything about her. She actually had a pretty hard life. Her mom died when she was just a child, and she had a really strict father, and she ended up becoming a nun, which he originally didn't agree with. And then she ended up becoming like incredibly sick, and she was so sick and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her that they sent her home basically to die. And she basically was like right there at death's door when she fell into a coma, and her father realized that she was like still breathing. And after a couple days she woke up from this coma, and she actually had a really, really long road to recovery, to the point that like it was about 8 months before she could even crawl. She had to teach herself to crawl. She had to teach herself to do everything all over. It was a very long road of healing, but she says that during this time, that when she was like in her coma and when she was very sick, that God came and spoke to her, and she had visions. Like, she's actually like a Christian mystic, so she definitely believed in visions and talking to the Holy Spirit. And she actually wrote a lot of different like poems and manuscripts and things like that. And the funny thing about her was that people asked her to write these things, and like she never took it upon herself to just do it. Like, they asked her to. Like, people believed she was very wise, but she actually struggled with a lot of self-esteem issues. She had made a comment once that what she wrote, when the priest read it, it would either be like it was up to him. Either he was going to be like impressed by it and thought that it was worth like reading, or he would just burn it. So she really is kind of funny because she struggled like with this, like, part of her teachings was that it really is all about loving yourself, but she also struggled with the self-esteem issue of, like, worrying about what other people thought. But she was also a really charismatic person too, and got along with a lot of people. She had a really great social life as well. So one of the most things, like, she's known for that she wrote about was that she believed that like, inside your soul was 7 mansions, and each mansion had all kinds of rooms, and like, it was kind of like a different aspect of your soul, so to speak. So she believed that to know God was all you had to do was look within. All you had to do was reflect and meditate, and by looking within yourself, that's how you would find God. That's how you would find salvation and enlightenment, ultimately. It didn't come from outside of you. So kind of the idea of, like, to know yourself is to know God. One particular little quote from a poem she wrote that I thought was really, like, powerful was that she wrote, "Let me prove my worth in solitude." So basically, this divine feminine wants to teach you that all of the answers that you seek are within yourself. That, yeah, you don't need to get outside validation. She very much reminds me of, like, a high priestess type of energy, as well as, like, hermit. Basically, by exploring yourself and your, like, your shadow self, and really getting to know who you are, the good and the bad, then you'll know God, and you will get enlightenment and basically, like, salvation that way. You're not, like, no, like, doing good works is important, but, like, there's nothing you can do on the outside that's going to earn you salvation or give you the answers that you really need or seek. So anyway, let's move on to the other cards and see what they have to say. So this next card here is, how can you embrace the inner divine feminine inside you? How can you embrace Teresa of Avila, this idea of, like, finding the answers inside yourself? And we get the 9 of Wands. So how you can embrace your inner divine feminine is, it's funny, like I mentioned, like, the self-esteem issues that she kind of struggled with, but this idea of it being about the self, because the 9 of Wands is somebody who has been through a lot. It is the wounded warrior. It's somebody who has mastered and overcome a lot. And it's kind of that point in the journey of feeling exhausted. Sometimes it's actually the point where you feel like maybe giving up, because you feel like it's just too much, but you're, like, so close, to, like, a new beginning. It's definitely, it's a wisdom here, especially in, like, fire energy. Like, when you think fire, you think of, like, charisma and passion and drive. So to embrace the inner divine feminine in you is to recognize that you are a warrior and that you have overcome a lot, and that you can continue to overcome, that you have an incredible amount of drive and power inside of you that has pushed you this far, and it's all inside you. It also, I think, is like, how to embrace your inner divine feminine is to not become discouraged because of the wounds that you've gotten along the way, or, like I said, this is the point in the journey of being incredibly exhausted, because you've accomplished a lot and been through a lot, but you've also, like, gotten battle scars. And so it's to not let that discourage you, and to understand that, like, you're almost there and that you can keep going and don't allow yourself to become like depressed or paranoid or even too guarded. Because sometimes when we've been wounded really badly, we become very guarded from other people. So not only do we might even give up on ourselves and what we want to do, but we might even start giving up on other people because you just get tired. So I would say this divine feminine recognizes, and maybe like her, maybe when I told you about her journey, maybe that's something that resonated with you. Maybe you're somebody who's had a lot of health issues, specifically like the way she had to like literally teach herself to crawl and walk and talk all over again. Maybe that's something like you're going through, and like that's what she wants to help you with, is to keep going and that you can do it. Yeah. All right. Let's keep going. So the next one is, this is actually how you currently tap into your inner divine feminine. Like what are you already kind of doing here? Ooh, the Chariot. Yeah. Yeah. So you really are somebody who has a really strong drive to go forward. And yeah, when you see a goal and you have a goal, you push forward very like intensely and very strongly. I mean, because it's a chariot, so it's like, fast movement forward. And, you know, it's also something to be said about having a very large amount of control, because, the way a chariot works is the horses, or in this case, it's two dogs. They're technically like pulling in opposite directions, and so it's up to you to hold on to the reins and like pull them so that they like, because if one starts running too faster than the other one, the whole chariot's going to go off course. So it's like to be able to like take that two contradictory energies and to like make them go forward and to one specific place. I think I've heard something that said like, in a way, a chariot's kind of almost always about to crash. But it's like the driver who keeps control over it and keeps it from doing that. So you are somebody who has a really strong drive, who can push forward a lot. And I can see that right now that you've probably been really tired. Like one thing about this particular deck is like none of the cards actually show a person. So that's why the dogs are just resting right now, because ultimately it's an invitation for you to come and pick up the reins and steer them to where they need to go. Excuse me, if I sound horrible, it's because I've had a cold, so try not to sound too gross. So yeah, that is how you're very much like Teresa of Avila. I see why you picked her, because your own inner drive. This isn't even an external thing. This is like your own inner passion and fire for life, or to whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish and do, is what drives you forward. All right, just like that's what her message was, that it's about you, on the inside of you. You find God in you, or the divine, or however you think of it. All the answers are within you. All the power is within you. This chariot cannot drive without you. You have to be the one in control. Even though there's the dogs that are running, you're the one who's actually controlling it. And so that's how you already tap into your inner divine feminine, and that's how you should continue to embrace it. By recognizing that like power and willpower. You have a very strong willpower. Just like her. I mean, can you imagine being like getting so sick, and maybe you relate to that, getting so sick that you had to like teach yourself how to do all that, walk and talk and everything all over again, and then eventually on top of that becoming this blessed, amazing, divine woman who like taught tons of people. Like seriously, go look her up, because she has a lot of famous works, like very like profound writings. from the Holy Spirit. She was a mystic. All right, so let's move on. So this card is, this is what secrets will this divine feminine reveal to you, which is interesting because if you're tapping into your inner divine feminine, you're tapping into yourself, what secrets will be revealed? So really, what secrets will you reveal to yourself? Ooh, the moon. That's a lot of secrets. Because the moon card is all about, like, secrets and the things in the dark and in the shadows. And this particular card kind of depicts a lot of, I don't know, like conspiracies or something, or like secret things. Like if you look really close, and my camera's stinky, but there's a little flying saucer, like an alien. There's like this little person, like I don't know, like Bigfoot or something, like in the forest. There's a jack-o'-lantern. So the secrets that will be revealed to you by embracing your inner divine feminine would be that really, like, I think very well you could actually be someone who associates with like being a psychic or having visions, or psychic dreams, because you, by doing that, by doing by meditating and praying and looking in yourself and getting to know yourself, it could actually unlock that kind of stuff for you. This could also be saying to pay very close attention to your dreams, your daydreams, just intuition in general. The moon is intuition. It's feminine. It's divine feminine energy. You probably will start looking at things in a totally different light. Either A, you might recognize things to be illusions, like maybe you thought you knew what the reality of the situation of your life or you or whatever it was, but you really didn't. Yeah, so I feel like recognizing where you've been kind of under an illusion about things. It's very much like not everything is as it appears. That's pretty big. That's a lot of secrets. It could also be a secret about your mother, because the moon is the ruler of the sign of Cancer, which is the mother of the zodiac, and the Chariot. Well, so the moon, even though it is the planet that rules Cancer, it is Pisces energy as well, which is a very like kind of watery and emotional and psychic sign, but also it is the planet for Cancer, which we have Cancer with the Chariot here, and that's the mother of the zodiac. The moon is like the divine feminine, so you could actually end up with some kind of secret about your mother or your family or your own children, maybe if you're a mother, or a grandmother or something like that. Yeah, I do feel like there's something, because her mother died when she was a kid, so that you might relate to that as well. You might have lost a mother or a mother figure in your life. So there might be some kind of, like, by looking within and by really embracing your inner divine feminine, and especially specifically your passion and drive, you, yeah, there might be some kind of information you receive about your mother, or at least your, like, maternal side of your family. Okay. So this next card is what distracts you from tapping into your inner divine feminine. What distracts you from her and her lessons? And this is the Five of Cups. Okay. So basically sadness. Sadness, grief, regret, just chaotic emotions. When your emotions aren't in control, that's where it makes it very hard for you to embrace your inner divine feminine and understand that, like, because it says on her card, I know that the presence of love is real, and it's like your love. So when you get incredibly, like, too negative and too, like, I mean, sadness is normal. We all feel sadness, and you shouldn't ignore your sadness. But if you wallow like too much into it and you get too lost into it, you you might even start to think that love doesn't exist, or that people don't love you, or love isn't worth it at all. And it kind of, when your emotions aren't, when they're feeling out of control and you're too much in this depression kind of energy, it actually ultimately burns out like the fire inside of you. It makes it like this Nine of Wands energy. It makes it really hard for you to keep going forward. It's like what I was saying about being the wounded warrior. It's like almost like you're just so exhausted and so sad and disheartened, and your scars and your wounds hurt so bad that you just feel like you can't keep going. And so you then it just starts to like spill out to be like losing control of, could be like your own inner self too. This could all be an inner thing, but it could start to spill out into your outer world as well. I do think it's an inner thing, because that's what she wants you to know, is trusting the answers I find within me. It's all about inside of you, Our Lady of the Interior Life. So ultimately, it really kind of seems like the message is like, especially if you're feeling like your outside world is like out of your control, or it's very exhausting and hard for you, you need to go within and get control of that, because you can always find answers and peace of mind and control and all that within inside you. You can find God. That's what she believed. Like God was inside you. That's how you know God. You would get all your answers and ultimately enlightenment, what we all, most of us are trying to like find in this life. Again, like she talked about, you had 7, which I saw the number 7 with the chariot. You have 7 mansions inside you, and all the mansions even have their own rooms. So I like did some research on her, so I'm not an expert on her. I probably will look more into her works. So if you're interested in what she really had to talk about, I would go and look her up, because maybe that will, maybe even just reading that and her philosophy on that kind of stuff will kind of help you, like give you some more answers too. I feel like writing as well. Like maybe you should, if you're very sad and you're having a lot of emotions and a lot of turbulence inside, you should write about it. She's holding like a little feather. And she was a writer. So maybe writing down things would be beneficial to you. And sometimes you can write stuff and you almost, when you just keep going, you just start writing and writing and writing, and all of a sudden you're kind of like, oh, I wrote that? Like you're like, wow, that's really profound. It just kind of comes out. All right, and so the last card here is, what is your advice from this Divine Feminine? What advice does she further want to give you? And you have, this is the Knight of Wands. Yeah, I mean, I think that she's encouraged. What's funny is like the Knight of Wands is like a really confident person. He's very confident and capable, and he very much goes for whatever he wants. He can be impulsive. I just see that you're a really fiery person. I think you could be a fire sign, but I think you have a lot of like passion and drive inside of you. And I feel almost like you're having a hard time. I don't know if it's like controlling it or actually mustering it back up to push forward, or to even like make it become a real thing. Or it's like there's a conflict though between the fire and water energies inside you. So it's like you're having a lot of drive and all that, but then there's like this deep emotional like sadness and pain inside you that needs to be addressed And if you feel like maybe like for the longest time you haven't had any drive and you've been feeling like very exhausted and haven't been moving forward, then the Teresa is saying to you that there isn't an external force, an external thing that's going to like give you your drive back. It's actually like inside you. It's all like you're the one who has all the power and you're the one who has all the answers. And I think she's like highly suggesting that in order, like, it's like I feel like you have this, you really do want to take action on something, and she wants you to take action too, but you have to also meditate and go within inside yourself at the exact same time. Maybe you need to question why you're so exhausted. Like if you've been, I don't know if you've been doing too much. There's some kind of imbalance of like some kind of uncontrol, or again it could have to do with like mother wounds. Like I'm gonna get a couple more for some advice for you, but like it could be that you know her, like if that relates to you, like if you had your mother pass away or you've had like a disconnection with your mother, because that would be very painful if you don't deal with that kind of trauma. That's very hard, especially if it was something that's like stems from like childhood. Get the King of Cups. Oh, the Queen of Cups. Wow. And the Sun. Yeah, I think it's like it is. I think that these two coming out just should, and the Sun, because the Sun is like Leo, which their like body part rule is like the heart. So it's a matter of the heart. It's a matter of like love. It's a matter of because like water is like much more of like an empathetic and intuitive energy. So it's like if you want to solve this problem of being like exhausted and wounded, or the feeling of like not having control, or the feeling of like I can't go forward, I can't push forward, or if you relate to that struggle like of the health issues or something of like there's some kind of like uphill battle that you're fighting, like you're feeling like you've had to start all over. It's actually a matter of like addressing your heart and the inside of you, because when you're the inside of you and and your heart is healthy and your soul and your spirit, like that's the most important thing, more important than even like the physical body, because it's like enlightenment it comes from inside, and it's even when we move on and we pass away, you don't bring your body with you, you just your soul. So this is yes, this she would like you. I feel like there's some connection here to like really saying like if you have a body issue, even it's like you have to pay attention to both the body and the soul. Yeah. All right, Pile 1, that's what I have for you. Let me know in the comments if that resonated. Bye. Hi, Pile 2. So you've chose Mary Magdalene as your divine feminine. So I'm going to do a little spread here. I'm going to lay out 5 cards face down, and each one answers a specific question, and we're going to see how you can tap into your inner divine feminine and just what Mary Magdalene wants to say to you. So and I'll tell you a little bit about her in just a minute when after I get all the cards out. Alright, just give me a minute. I got my little notebook here. Okay. Alright, Spirit, please give us 5 cards. This is going to be a powerful message, I can tell. Okay. Alright. So for the first question, it's actually based on the card that you chose here, Mary Magdalene, in which, by the way, let me tell you what it says on the card. It says, "She is the apostle to the apostles. I am the bridge between heaven and earth. I am fully human and fully divine." So the first question here was, what can this this divine feminine teach you? And so I feel like Mary Magdalene is someone that a lot of people have heard about. The funny part about Mary Magdalene is that a lot of people confuse her with, you know, the story with the prostitute that comes and washes Jesus' feet. A lot of people confuse Mary Magdalene as being that woman. So sometimes Mary Magdalene is thought of being like having been a prostitute. So that's actually not the case. Those are two different people. Mary Magdalene was actually a woman who would have been of, like, she was wealthier, she was financially independent, a woman of higher status, and she, along with other women, were really like huge financial contributors to Jesus' ministry. Like, they're part of the reason that they were able to travel around and preach. And Mary Magdalene had a very close relationship with Jesus. She was the one who, like, would have served him food. You know, and even like the painting of like the Last Supper, even though it doesn't depict women, they were most likely at that Last Supper. Mary Magdalene was also the person that, you know, and I'm talking about obviously the religion of Christianity because that's what she's known for, but when Jesus rose from the dead, he was resurrected, she and his mother Mary were the people who he appeared to first. And Mary Magdalene was the one who went and saw the other disciples, the other 12, to say that, you know, Jesus had rose from the dead. Which is, and it's funny because they kind of thought at first that she was crazy for saying that. So I think this is a couple things, is what this divine feminine Mary Magdalene wants to talk to you about, what she wants to teach you is, on one hand, maybe you're somebody who is often misunderstood, and maybe you have even been the subject of rumors. And that's the thing about Mary Magdalene, is she was actually an apostle as well. She was someone who spread the word of Jesus' teachings and his resurrection. But, you know, there's obviously this element of sexism there where she ends up being painted as being like a prostitute, as a way to, not to say there's anything wrong with that, but, you know, we know that that is a way to like discredit powerful women, and it's, you know, by shaming them like for their sexuality. And Mary Magdalene, the reason that she, like, believed in Jesus is it said that he, cast out, like, 7 demons out of her. And I think, her quote here where it says, I'm fully human and fully divine, I think that that's what she wants to teach you, is that was ultimately the lesson as well when it came, like, to Jesus. Yeah, he's the Son of God in the religion, but he always said, like, you and I are one. I'm one with the Father. We're one. And like the whole drink my blood and eat my body so that you're a part of me, is the idea that, we're made in God's image and that we are both fully human and divine ourselves. And I think that she wants to teach you. You might very well, whoever's listening, be a woman. And so I feel like what she wants to teach you is that you're an incredibly powerful person and that your voice matters and that you're not less than, especially in regards to, like, you're not less capable than men or, other people who might try to knock you down and, like, even spread rumors or even pull up something from your past and try to, like, discredit you. Yeah. You should go look up more about Mary Magdalene if you don't know much. I do. I think that that's her main thing, is that she wants to teach you. It has something to do with, like, being confident and embracing your own wisdom that you have, and not letting other people, like, dictate your destiny or tell you that you're less than or tell you that you're not capable. And especially in regards to, like the spiritual side, believing that you are human as well as a divine being as well. So let's move on. So for card number 2 is, how can you embrace the inner divine feminine inside of you? This Mary Magdalene energy. And you have the Fool card. Very cool. So I feel like this is very fitting with someone like Mary Magdalene, because she, like I mentioned, how she had Jesus cast 7 demons out of her, and from that day on, she devoted herself to Jesus and his teachings and traveled with him and helped support him and spread his word, as well as even after his death. Actually, you really should go look up some stuff about Mary Magdalene, because there's even more information that goes beyond what's, like, even in the, like, Bible or, like, Christian religion, of how she spent her last days. But I would say the point is, how do you embrace your inner divine feminine, is being like Mary Magdalene. Like, she basically did take the fool's journey, took a leap of faith, decided to just leave, like, a regular life behind and follow in this, spiritual journey. And of course, this is, now on one hand, this could be relate to you, like maybe there is a particular thing you feel called to do and it would actually involve you leaving your life behind, but it doesn't have to be that dramatic. But it's like the same idea is, how you can embrace your inner divine feminine is by being willing to take chances and by being willing to take a leap of faith into something new, and trusting that, if your intuition tells you that it's the right thing to do, so trusting that, trusting yourself, trusting the signs that you get from God or the universe or however you think of it, and be willing to take that leap of faith towards a new beginning, towards a new adventure. Maybe even, you think about Mary Magdalene, she would have been like a fool because she really the moment Jesus casts out these demons out of her, she devotes her life to that, to him and his teachings. Like, she really was like the fool. She didn't know anything about it until eventually she becomes one of the most like revered women in history, you know, and in the Christian religion. It's kind of interesting too because it says that on this card, I'm the bridge between heaven and earth, and that's kind of what this card reminds me of. Like, because it's the way it's being depicted is like this kind of like dirt path until eventually it's like cloud path going up into to either the moon or the sun, I suppose. Um, so yeah, it is kind of also giving me this. I like because I believe that the Fool card would be like for I think it's like the planet of Uranus, which is like the planet of like expansion and growth, and um, I believe it's the ruling planet of Aquarius. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Um, it's a very humanitarian sign. So it's very much like maybe you're somebody who's maybe you are felt called to like teach people or help people. And it's kind of interesting idea that of like being the bridge between heaven and earth, kind of like believing in your own divinity and tapping into that, and like expanding your own spiritual knowledge, and then maybe like somehow even helping to expand other people's spiritual knowledge. I just had this thought, something like sometimes you have to teach in order to learn. So I could totally see you being like someone who would be like like even being like maybe like a missionary in some sense. Like maybe there's something calling to you to like travel and go somewhere to help people, or travel for a job, um, or just doing something that like serves like the world and the greater good. And I think that that is how you would embrace the inner divine feminine inside you, is by taking that leap of faith and um, yeah, believing how like that you are capable. Let's keep going. So number 3 here is like, how do you already tap into your inner divine feminine? What is like inside of you that you might already do that you can kind of like nourish and grow? And you have the Hanged Man. Wow, I love this card. It's like mushrooms. So of course, whenever I see this Hanged Man and I see the mushrooms, I always do think of like, you know, I'm not saying like go do shrooms or something, but the idea of like, you know, when people do shrooms or some other kind of like psychedelic type substance, that it gives, it's very like, they could have a very mystical experience. So I feel like you might already be somebody who like sees things from a different perspective than other people, and that you are already like someone who's very intuitive and feels things very deeply and contemplates a lot. So it almost like pairing these together is saying like you've already are. I do feel like this has something to do with like kind of like, yeah, like your like spirituality for sure, or something that you could teach other people, And it's like saying you do already have this energy in this way about you, that you look at things from a different perspective often, maybe even in a very like mystical type of kind of way. And that in order to like fully embrace it, you have to like be like the fool and like get out there and take a leap of faith instead of being still. You know, because I mean, imagine someone like Mary Magdalene, who was an incredible teacher. That's why she's called the apostle to the apostles. You know, she was a teacher. She was basically a preacher. And imagine if instead of going around and actually, what if Jesus had cast the demons out of her and she just stayed home and didn't travel with him? Or what if even after he died, what if she never decided to go out and teach people? I mean, ultimately, one could argue Mary Magdalene is a huge reason of why Christianity was spread so wide and far, especially when you consider if she was sitting there financially supporting, you know, Jesus and all of his like disciples, helping to feed them. And then you got to think too, like she probably went and talked to tons of women about Jesus and about the teachings of Christ before and after his death. So just imagine if she hadn't done that, how different literally like even history could have been. So you already are somebody who does see things from a different perspective, and you are an enlightened person. And maybe you've even had something happen to you. Because a lot of people, when they see the hanged man, you know, kind of is very reminiscent of like Jesus on the cross. I'm not trying to like be like overtly Christian here or whatever, but I mean it's Mary Magdalene, so it's hard to ignore. But but yeah, it's like you might have even gone through some kind of trials and tribulations, or maybe you are someone who has kind of like acted like a martyr yourself and made like great sacrifices, and you do see things from a different perspective. Maybe you even have like mystical dreams or visions, and now, so that's what you already do. Now it's time for you to like do something with it. And I think you already probably know what I'm talking about if this resonates with you. Alright, so let's go on to this card. So this is what secrets will be revealed. What secrets does Mary Magdalene want to reveal to you? And you have the Ace of Pentacles. This very much reminds me kind of this very similar to that path right here on the Fool card. So the secrets that she would like to reveal to you actually has to do with the physical world. I'm kind of curious if, like, there's something that you'd like to pursue that, like, because hence it's being depicted as taking a leap of faith. I'm wondering if it's something that it feels like it wouldn't pay out a lot of money, or wouldn't be, like, materially, financially beneficial to you, or you feel like you don't have the funds. So the secrets do have to do with that there is some kind of opportunity, a real golden opportunity for you to grow both mentally, spiritually, as well as in your material world. Or it's like there's it's almost like setting out on whatever this path is. Taking this leap of faith actually will lead to stability, or there is like a very small opportunity and it actually has great potential to grow. Or even if it's not material, like financial, it could be even in regards to like your health. Might be actually good for your physical health. I do believe that our mind, body, and spirit are all connected, and when one is out of alignment, the others will be too. And when you work on one, you ultimately slowly improve the others as well. So this is almost begging you, excuse me, to head out on some path, take some leap of faith. Excuse me. And that will lead to almost like by going towards what your soul wants, your body will get healthier as well. Sorry about that. I had to pause for a second. I have this like horrible cold. Well, I'm getting over it. It's just a cold. But I just had to like hack up a lung there for a minute. Excuse me. Sorry, you could probably hear my voice slowly like constricting. That's also why I sound like crap. Anyway, yes, I was saying that I think by following your heart's desire, your soul's purpose, your body will get better, which is interesting because I keep going back to the idea of like Jesus healing Mary Magdalene. Now, of course, we don't, back a long time ago, if they didn't know what something was, if it was like, it could be like a mental disease, they might attribute it to demons, and we're told Jesus drove 7 demons out of Mary Magdalene. So there is something to be said about, yeah, following, and she never seemed to have that problem ever again, you know? So yeah, following your spirit, your soul's purpose will heal the body. And that's the secret. All right. So for number 5 here is what distracts you from listening to your inner divine feminine. And we have the 9 of Pentacles. Oh, that's interesting. So again, this is either something about money or health. Either you feel like really tapping in and embracing your inner divine feminine and following what she wants you to do and listening to what she has to say to you. Either it's not financially smart or it won't be financially abundant for you, or you could be struggling with some kind of like health issues that leave you feeling like discouraged. That is interesting. I feel like it could be either or, it could be both, but it's very interesting that, you know, the 1 and the 9 next to each other is 10, so it's almost like what, you know, Mary Magdalene wants to tell you is that you're focusing so much on the material world and not so much, I don't know, you just don't want to take this leap of faith. There's something very scary about it. Like you're afraid you won't be abundant, or like you can't afford it, or you're holding on. I mean, you got to really ask yourself what's important to you. Like, you know, Mary, like I said, Mary Magdalene, like, left her life behind to just follow Jesus, and basically, like, that was it. She dedicated the rest of her life to that, and she was happy with that. And so you really have to ask yourself what it is that really makes you happy, because you could have, maybe you are financially secure right now, but is that really making you happy? Like truly in your heart, you know, because I don't think there are many people out there who are very like spiritual people who give up everything, but they would never tell you that they're poor. They feel rich in their heart because it was worth it to them. And I do feel like there's an opportunity, there's something you want to take a leap of faith on, something you've been thinking about for a long time, but you're getting hung up on this like material. And I feel like that's kind of part of what Mary Magdalene is trying to tell you is that you're human, you know, but you are also divine as well. The material world does matter to some extent, but you're also divine, and that's kind of like ties right back to the secret here is like maybe you think it's one or the other, but in actuality, if you follow your soul's purpose, you'll be taken care of. It is, I mean, the Fool card really is kind of about having faith. You know, you're jumping off a cliff. You know, you gotta have some level of faith to believe that you're okay. Or in this case, it looks like you have some level of faith to believe that you can walk up these little clouds. All right, and for the last one is just some advice. And you get the Lover's card. This is definitely about a choice. It kind of looks like trying to bring like two worlds together. Very much yin and yang kind of energy, the masculine and the feminine together. Maybe you've been operating more on the like masculine side, very black and white, very sharp-edged. Whereas on this more feminine side, it's, you know, looks more colorful, and I mean, even this side even has books. His books. Looks more comfortable. So your advice is probably is about oh man, yeah, it's like about embracing the duality of yourself. Again, I'm the bridge between heaven and earth. I am fully human and fully divine. So it's about embracing that exact idea, the duality of life. And in yourself, you are human. You are on the earth. You do have to play by these rules, but at the same time, you are still a divine being. And you ultimately can access heaven, so to speak. Yeah, incorporating. Yeah, it is. I would definitely say it's about embracing that's what Mary Magdalene wants you to. It's her advice, is that she wants to see you embrace that duality in yourself and not be so focused on or only thinking about the things of just this world. And again, going back to, like I said, how Mary Magdalene was a woman a financially independent woman who helped finance Jesus' ministry. If that's not kind of combining those two things to be able to like take the things of this world and apply them and use them in such a way that like created fellowship and you know, spiritual growth, not just in herself but in other people. Yeah, I don't know what is, you know? And yeah, I think she definitely wants you to recognize that you are a human being who's of this world, but at the same time, you are also a spiritual person. And you can put those together. And, I mean, and you might even, I don't know, maybe you wonder if you're going to be judged or something, or somehow discredited, but, you know, you shouldn't let that, I know it's easier said than done, but don't let that bug you, because just like Mary Magdalene was somebody who was, they tried to discredit her, and they tried to paint her in a bad light, and, I mean, even the disciples had issues with her. and had jealousy, and kind of in some ways looked down on her because she was a woman. She didn't let that stop her. And you should not either. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that message. Sorry for my little interruption with my coughing fit. Let me know in the comments what you thought of that. Bye. Hi, Pile 3. You've chosen Joan of Arc. It says on the card, the Warrior of Light. I have a steel-like faith in myself. The angels armor me with conviction. So I'm going to do a little spread here. I'm going to lay out 5 other cards face down, and each one's going to answer a question about, what does this Divine Feminine want to talk to you about, how you can embrace your inner Divine Feminine. And I will tell you a little bit about Joan of Arc, what I do know. I feel like a lot of people have at least heard of her. I mean, I encourage you to go look her up yourself as well. All the 3 that I had here, or just her, whatever. Okay. Just one more. Okay. All right. So, for the first question is based on the card that you chose for Joan of Arc, and it is, what does this Divine Feminine want to teach you? So I have my little notebook over here. I have a couple notes. So, Joan of Arc was a pretty special person because basically what she says is that I think it was when she was about 17, and it might have even happened earlier, but I do know when she was 17 is when she did this. But she says that Archangel Michael came to her and told her that she was going to be a key person in, fighting, so she's from France, and fighting against the English, and that she was ultimately going to help France, win this war against the English. And so I believe it was when she was 17, she took up a suit of armor, and she led she was the leader of all these men that she led into battle. And at the time, though, they thought she was a man, because obviously women weren't allowed to fight. So she dressed like a man, pretended to be a man, joined the military, and ended up, and then this is all at 17 years old. Can you imagine being a 17-year-old girl and doing that? And she later was found guilty for being a cross-dresser. So really, I think what Joan of Arc, and again, I don't know this a whole bunch about her. I did watch a little mini documentary on her, and I did some reading up on her. But, so I would encourage you to do that as well. But what Joan of Arc wants to teach you is that you too are a warrior. And, it says, I have a steel-like faith in myself. And the angels armor me with conviction. So basically, Joan of Arc was someone who wasn't going to let anyone tell her that, she was wrong. She said an angel, and without, any, hesitation, an angel comes to her and says that as a teenager, you need to go into battle and help the French win this war. And that's what she did. And that's pretty impressive for basically a child to do. And so that is what she wants to teach you, is to have faith in the things in yourself, the things that you believe and the things that you know, and be willing to fight for them. And it doesn't matter what other people say. And ultimately, too, that you're an incredibly strong person, and that when you do believe in yourself and you fight for what you believe in, you'll win. And also that when you are following your soul's purpose, you're following your intuition, that you have angels. Now, I don't know what you believe in. It could be angels, could be ancestors, could just be like the energy of the universe, God, I'm not sure, but I'm just going to speak because she was someone who had angels talking to her. And some people even tried to attribute that she was someone with mental illness. Because she did not, she basically was a very single-minded kind of person. She didn't let anything distract her. She really didn't have, any romantic relationships. She just she didn't have time for that, She was just this is my destiny, this is what I'm going to do, and nothing's going to stop me. And so yeah, you're protected, you're a warrior, and that if there's something you feel that you need to do or that you need to fight for, you'll be successful. That's what she wants you to believe about yourself. Have faith in yourself. And anything, if you feel like you get, if you have intuition and if you feel like God wants you to do something, then you should. Okay, so for the next one is, how can you embrace the inner divine feminine in you? How can you embrace your inner Joan of Arc? Wow, okay. 7 of Wands. Yep, that's somebody who, 7 of Wands energy is literally fighting for what's yours. It's, this one is obviously, this card is just showing 7 Wands, but, in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, if you've seen that, it's usually a person who is literally fighting other people. He's up higher and he's fighting all these other people who are attacking him. So definitely, again, how you can embrace your inner divine feminine. Your inner divine feminine is a fighter, is a warrior, is someone who is going to fight for what she believes in, fight for what's really hers, and that is how you should be a fighter. Doesn't mean, fight needless battles or something, or it doesn't mean be constantly on the defensive. It doesn't mean always being guarded. But when something is right and you know it's right, or you know it's yours and you have to defend yourself, that's how you embrace your inner divine feminine, by fighting for what you believe in. And basically overcoming any doubt that you have in yourself that says that you can't succeed or that you can't win. You think 7 of Wands, when it's usually depicting this one guy fighting other people, he's by himself. So in some cases, and you might be in a situation like this right now where you feel like there are people against you and that you're alone. So one, you're not alone because Joan of Arc wants you to know that you have angels that have your back. They're your armor. And number two, that sometimes that is how it goes. Sometimes fighting for what's right does feel really lonely, and like that there are a lot of people against you. But like don't let them put doubt in you. And it also recognizes, and what you need to recognize is that whatever the situation is that you're in, where you feel like you need to defend yourself, that you're on a higher ground. You actually have the advantage. You have the advantage because you have a steel-like faith in yourself, as well as having angels who have your back, having your own faith in yourself and in your mission as your armor. That puts you at an advantage, at a higher ground than other people. So it ultimately kind of means that you don't have to... It makes the fighting a little bit easier if you are on a higher pedestal, so to speak. Not that you're better than other people, but yeah, there's an advantage there because you're right. Excuse me, I just need a drink. Alright, so let's keep going. So this third card here, this is like what you already do. This is like how you can embrace your inner divine feminine. This Joan of Arc energy, this is kind of what you already do. How you already tap into her. And it is the Two of Cups. So I feel like just like Joan of Arc was someone who was fighting for like other people, it wasn't like just a battle like literally only with her. She was leading people into battle and she was trying to fight for her country. What it is that kind of gives you strength is probably other people, some kind of relationship that you have with somebody. Could be a partner, it could be a friend, it could be children. But it's almost like the love that you have for someone else really helps to push you forward. And maybe you are kind of like a humanitarian kind of person who fights for those who are weak or less fortunate than you. Because you're like, again, you have some kind of advantage. And so you want to fight for those who are have less advantage. Like standing up for people. So I think that this warrior energy actually does come from a place of love. Love of someone else, love of other people, and their love of you that also makes you strong. Joan of Arc didn't fight for, like, it wasn't about glory. Like, she wasn't trying to bring glory to herself. I mean, you think about it, she had to dress up like a man and pretend to be someone she wasn't just so she could do this. So it's not, whatever it is that you are, having to fight for it's not for like glory or recognition. It's for someone or multiple people. It's for others. It has to do with love, which is ultimately the best. Like, again, you really can't lose when you're fighting for love. Like, and I don't mean fighting like to get someone to love you. I just mean like maybe you have to stand up for somebody. Maybe you have to like kind of advocate for, like, say it's like your child, or your parent, or just, advocating. It could even be for people that you don't like. It might not even be a specific person, but advocating for people, like for like equality, for example. And I do feel like whatever it is very important, and it comes from a place of love, a love of other people. uh Nice. Let's keep going. So this next one is, what secrets will be revealed? What secrets does Joan of Arc want to reveal to you? And you have the Eight of Wands. So basically, the secret is revealed is that when you tap into your inner divine feminine, this inner warrior that you have inside of you, and you fight for what you believe in, that you'll be successful, but you'll move from the 7 to the 8, and then it'll be like, just, then it's like a breeze, like, so to speak. Like, it's going to, like, if you really put your mind to it and overcome any doubt that you have in yourself and stand up for yourself, then you're going to have so much energy behind you that suddenly things will start moving really, really fast. And there will be a lot of progress made. You just have to, like, so I always see my 7s as like kind of like trials and tribulations, and like this idea of overcoming doubt in whatever the element is. So it's like, in this case, it's like overcoming doubt and fire. Fire being charisma, passion, creativity, that inner spark that we have. And when you overcome any kind of doubt that you have in that, you will ultimately suddenly, like, things will move so fast in the direction that you want to go. You just have to overcome that in the first place, and that is what Joan of Arc wants you to understand. And what she wants to teach you is to, like, have faith in yourself, believe that you're capable, believe that you can overcome any obstacle, be it a situation or even people. You can overcome it. You're protected. You're a warrior. And when you do, suddenly things will just start going, like, just going really fast for you. Like, it's like something about, like, it's like getting over that initial hurdle, which I do think has to do with, it's like almost like standing your ground, like taking your stand in the first place. And then once you do that, suddenly you'll be able, like, to accomplish so much, and it'll just, like, you'll just start progressing in whatever it is that you're trying to fight for change, or fight for whoever this person is or these people are that you care about. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Alright, and so this card is what distracts you from your inner divine feminine, what distracts you from tapping into this energy. And you have the King of Cups right here. King of Cups. I wonder if you don't want to be seen as, like, or perceived as, like, I was gonna say unempathetic, but I actually don't think that's what it is, because the King of Swords, King of Cups is, like, he is a very, like, supportive and empathetic and loving kind of person. He doesn't really wear his heart on his sleeve per se, he's very wise in the ways of, like, he's a very high emotional intelligence. Um, I suppose he could even be emotionally manipulative on the darker side because he's so intelligent in emotions. Um, but I'm curious if you don't want people, I don't know, like to perceive you as like almost like crazy or like, because this is like so much fire energy that you're being encouraged to tap into. But what's distracting you is like this King of Cups, like the king of the water. And so I'm wondering if you're feeling you're going to be like misjudged or like if you're almost like, are you too concerned with how other people feel? Or you're like too concerned with other people's feelings or something? Like if you were to stand up for yourself or whatever it is that you feel you need to take a stand on, like you're going to like, I don't know, hurt people's feelings or something? Or do you think they'll think you're being emotionally manipulative? Um, yeah, or unless this was depicting, if it's not so much you and it's another person, is there a, doesn't have to be a man, but it could be like, but is there like a man in your life who's like emotionally manipulative? Maybe there's a person that you feel you need to take a stand against. I mean, it could be. It could be like a relationship. I mean, I know I said this had to do with other people, and the Two of Cups is often, seen as like reciprocated. But if you notice, these two cups are technically facing a different way. So I don't know if this is like a person that you're might even not be on the same page as, and there's somebody. It could be a particular person you feel like you have to take a stand against. Somebody who, if it was a particular person who was distracting you, then I would say that this person would be emotionally manipulative. Because King of Cups could be. He was very smart in that way. Or someone who even holds back love. Well, I already said that I didn't mean fighting for love. You shouldn't have to fight for someone to love you. But if somebody's like um, manipulating you or being abusive to you, then you should be taking a stand. And ultimately, you're strong enough to go up against that person. You have definitely enough fire energy to, dry up that King of Cups. I do think it's like it's either an attitude you have about not wanting to be seen a certain way, or it's a particular person you feel you need to stand up against, or your family or something. All right, let's see what the final advice is. The final advice here is the Two of Pentacles, which is like time management, multitasking, being able to juggle, being able to juggle like life responsibilities. So I do think your advice it is telling you to stay grounded. And when I see the Two of Pentacles, the thing about the Two of Pentacles, the positive side is like while it's someone who's usually they're juggling, they're doing a good job at it. So once again, I feel like you're being reminded by Joan of Arc to have faith in yourself, that you are handling your everyday life well and with grace. That you're capable. And if this was a relationship with somebody that you feel like you need to like stand up against, that not only are you perfectly capable of defending yourself, defending what's rightfully yours, but that you're also, like, let's say it was a romantic relationship or something, you're definitely capable of doing things on your own. I mean, these two cards specifically are usually depicting like a person who they're alone doing it. Alone they are juggling their life, and alone they are fighting for what's theirs. So you are perfectly capable of doing that. And don't let anybody, manipulate you or tell you otherwise, basically. Don't let anyone else, because it says, I have a steel-like faith in myself. Steel is, like, incredibly strong. It doesn't break easily. I mean, I think it bends, right? Like, but, like, with a lot of strength. Like, you need a lot of strength to do that. So that's why we say steel-like faith or willpower, because it's so strong. Saying you're really strong, you're a warrior. Don't let anybody, like, arm yourself with the belief and the faith in yourself, and don't let anybody else tell you that you're not capable or deserving. This could even just be fighting for yourself. Just be fighting for the belief in yourself that you're worthy and deserving of love. Because I could see that there could be someone in your life who's trying to make you feel, or has even, this could even be a way back a long time ago, this like lingering thing that you're still dealing with, like a father or something that made you believe, or a mother or whatever, that you're not good enough, or you're not capable, that you need to depend on others, but you don't, because that's what Joan of Arc wants to teach you. She was 17 years old when she led men into battle. And she wants you to say, you have a spirit like mine. You are strong, you are capable. It doesn't matter how young or old you are, or what your sex is, or anything. Believe in yourself, know yourself, have conviction, fight for what is yours, fight for what's right, and you will win. And you can handle it. Something about you can handle it. You can handle it and maintain it. You can push forward towards it is what you want, and you don't need, you don't really need anybody but yourself, but you do have your angels around you. Alright, well, that's what I have for you, Pile 3. Let me know in the comments what you think. Bye.